Wake up to the facts. When good people are silent, freedom dies. Don't be afraid to ask those tough questions. Be a patriot and join the struggle to keep America free. freedomdies.com. Let your voice be heard.
Ron Paul gave some comments tonight after the election results came in Florida. Dr. Paul didn't compete in Florida that much because it was a winner-take-all state. All the delegates go to the winner and everyone else gets nothing. So he moved on to Nevada, which is a caucus state. He's going to hit Colorado, a few of the other states that are coming up. But the talking heads on TV tonight continue to discount him. The guy's racked up over 100-some thousand votes in Florida. He's going to do real well in these caucus states. He could end up going to the convention. Realistically, if he doesn't win it, he could go to the convention with the second highest number of delegates. That's someone to be reckoned with, and these talking heads on TV continue to say he got to discount him, he's not going anywhere, he's not serious. Well, I'm here to tell you, he says in these comments he had 6,000 people at one event today or yesterday, and he had 1,000 at the event tonight. So if he isn't going anywhere, these thousands and thousands and thousands of people that keep voting for him and turning up at his event don't seem to agree. Let's listen to Dr. Paul.
Well, if enthusiasm wins election, we win hands down. This is great. This is very, very nice, and thank you very much for coming out. You know, just a little while ago, I called Governor Romney and congratulated him, and we had a friend. We had a friendly conversation, and I honestly congratulate him. He ran a good campaign, but I also said I would see him soon in the caucus states. You know, we've been having a fantastic trip, and not too long ago, a few days ago, we were up in Maine. Fantastic reception up in Maine. Today we had 3 visits in Colorado, and they were fantastic. We visited with, and we probably had attendance well over 5,000 today in Colorado. And it looks like we have a few hundred here tonight, to say the least. 1,000 people. No, you know, a few months ago there were, well, how many candidates were there? There were 9. We're down to 4. But tonight I saw a statistic. We're in 3rd place when it comes to delegates, and that's what really counts. And we've only gotten started. Now the counting really occurs. No, and we will spend our time in the caucus states because if you have an irate, tireless minority, you do very well in the caucus states. But there's something else that the caucus states lends itself to, because if you have an energized group of people that are working in a campaign and actually believe in something, it's better to work in the caucus states. This is what's been so fantastic with the campaign. I've been doing a little bit of campaigning for liberty for a long time. But let me tell you, something big is happening in this country, and it's all very favorable. There's a mess up in Washington. They've created a mess. They've given us a lousy foreign policy. They've given us a lousy budget, and they've given us a lousy recession. But where the wonderful thing is happening is in the grassroots. People are beginning to realize that the problem is too much government. We need more personal liberty. And this is where we're winning the hearts and minds of people, and the numbers are growing. I'll tell you what, there's many brush fires of freedom being lit across this country today. We don't even know where they are. There are so many. But it is being translated into great enthusiasm and change, the change that we need. We don't need to have more government. We need to get rid of some of the ornery process of the government. For instance, don't you think it's about time we had a new monetary policy? And the Fed, right, end it. And would we have to invent something new? All we'd have to do is read the Constitution. They tell us exactly what we're supposed to have. Now, what about a foreign policy? We need a foreign policy, but do we have to invent it? No, all we have to do is read the Constitution. We need a strong national defense. We don't need to be the policeman of the world. And very simply, we should reject and not get engaged in any more wars that aren't declared properly and supported by the people. You know, I've gotten some advice on the internet every once in a while, and the advice is, Ron, if you would just change your foreign policy, you would get a few supporters. If they only knew that the support for the freedom movement comes with a sound economic and a sound foreign policy that makes sense. Very simply, it means bringing our troops home and stopping all these undeclared, unwinnable wars. Now, what would this do for our economy? I'd like to see all the troops spending their money here at home and not going over there. But in the last 10 years, fighting these unwinnable, undeclared wars, we have spent over $4 trillion more into debt for this. So there's a cost of life and limb, but there's an economic cost as well, and the American people are tired of it, and they're ready because they know this country is bankrupt. All great nations go down because they overextend themselves overseas. So I would say it's time for us to wake up. Don't wait for an economic crisis to hit when we have to come wimping home. We ought to just wise up, spend our money wisely, defend this country, and don't pretend that we can tell other people how to live. The greatest danger when we accept the notion that the government's supposed to take care of us from cradle to grave and we're supposed to be the policemen of the world is that it ultimately is done at the expense of personal liberty. The purpose of all government should be the protection of individual liberty for each and every one of us. We need to reverse the trend on the attack on our civil liberties. We need to repeal the Patriot Act. We need to repeal the provision that the president has the authority to assassinate American citizens without trial. We need to repeal the provision that says the president can use the military to arrest any American citizen and deny them a trial. Very simply, the answer is send only people to Washington, send only people to the White House that know and understand and read the Constitution and enforce the Constitution. And then we would have the full understanding how you have a peaceful, thriving nation is you enforce the concept of liberty. Enforce the liberty for each and every one of us equally. This brings people together because people will use their liberty in different manners, but we don't have to fight over how they use their liberty as long as they assume responsibility for themselves and the consequences of all their actions. It also very simply suggests the fact that if we have a right to our life and our liberty, we should have a right to keep the fruits of our labor as well. So we don't have to reinvent something. We can improve on our past, but we had a great past. We had a great Constitution. We had a great middle class, the richest and the biggest middle class ever, and we've undermined it with excessive spending, excessive taxation, a monetary system that is flawed, and a foreign policy is flawed. So all we have to do is return to our roots, and in a short time, we could have our peace and our prosperity and our reliance on ourselves with our personal liberty. Not only has this been a great day for the campaign for liberty and this process, but it's been a great week for the campaign. And believe me, it's been a great past 4 years, because 5, 6, or 7 years ago, they really didn't know exactly what was happening. But with the crisis that hit, both the economic crisis that we had 4 years ago, the realization of the significance of our Federal Reserve System, as well as our flawed foreign policy, the people know about it. They're awakening to this. They're listening to this message. It's up to us to do something about it. The message is loud and clear. The enthusiasm is here, but it has to be translated into proper political action. That means attending the caucuses and send a powerful message to this country that we want our freedoms back. We don't want more government. Thank you very much.